The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for 12,000 years, and in all that time, they had never once faced a species that refused to kneel before their power. 7 elder races sat upon the council, each one ancient beyond human understanding, each one powerful beyond human imagination, and each one absolutely certain that the universe belonged to them and them alone. The HFY were insects that stood 8 feet tall, with armored shells that could stop plasma fire and minds that thought in patterns of war and conquest. The Mondari were beings of living crystal, their bodies singing with energy, their thoughts moving at the speed of light through their silicon brains. The Drellocs swam through the void in ships filled with water, their amphibian forms adapted to both ocean and space, their empire spanning 1,000 water worlds. 4 other races completed the council, each one terrible in their own way, each one hungry for tribute and worship from the younger species of the galaxy. Together, these 7 races had crushed every civilization that rose to challenge them. Together, they had enslaved hundreds of worlds. Together, they believed themselves to be gods. And now their attention had turned to a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star in a quiet corner of the Milky Way galaxy. Ambassador Dex Raw of the HFY stood upon the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Mandate, and watched the planet Earth grow larger on his view screen. He was old, even by HFY standards, having lived for 600 years and served the Council for 5 of those centuries. He had personally overseen the subjugation of 19 species. He had watched civilizations burn. He had heard the screams of billions as they submitted to Council rule, and he had loved every moment of it. "Ambassador," said his second-in-command, a younger HFY named Vrel, "we are now in position beyond the 8th planet of this system." "Excellent," Dexrol replied, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Behind his ship, 300 warships of the Council fleet arranged themselves in the sacred formation of submission. Battle cruisers bristling with weapons, carrier ships filled with fightercraft, destroyers designed for planetary bombardment. It was the greatest show of force the Council ever deployed against a primitive species, and Dexral felt pride swelling in his thorax. "Tell me about these humans," he commanded. A Mondari advisor stepped forward, its crystalline body chiming as it moved. "They are a young species, Ambassador, barely 300 years into their technological age. They discovered radio communication approximately 150 years ago by their calendar. They achieved spaceflight less than a century ago. They have established only 5 colonies beyond their home world, all within their own solar system." "Pathetic," Dexrol sneered. "Indeed," the Mondari agreed. "Their weapons are primitive chemical explosives and basic nuclear devices. Their ships use inefficient fusion drives. They have no shield technology, no faster-than-light capability, and no understanding of dimensional manipulation." "Then this will be quick," Dexrol said with satisfaction. He turned to face his communication officer. "Open a channel to the planet. Broadcast on all frequencies. Let these humans hear the voice of their new masters." The communication officer worked his console, and a moment later, a light indicated that the channel was open. Dexrol drew himself up to his full height, his armor gleaming under the bridge lights, his compound eyes reflecting the blue glow of Earth on the view screen. "Attention, humans of Earth," he began, his voice carrying the weight of 12,000 years of galactic dominance. "I am Ambassador Dexrol of the HFY, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Council. Your species has been observed. Your development has been monitored. And now the time has come for you to take your place in the Galactic Order." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The terms of your submission are simple. You will surrender 40% of all planetary resources to the Council. You will provide labor forces for Council projects as demanded. You will accept Council law as supreme above all human law. You will worship the elder races as the rightful rulers of all space. On Earth, billions of humans watched their screens in horror as the alien broadcast cut through every channel, every frequency, every device capable of receiving a signal. In homes and offices, in cars and trains, in hospitals and schools, people stopped what they were doing and stared at the insectoid creature, making demands of their entire species. Presidents and prime ministers gathered their advisors. Generals scrambled their forces. Scientists tried desperately to understand the technology that had hijacked every communication system on the planet. And ordinary people held their families close and wondered if this was the end of everything they knew. Ambassador Dex Rawl continued his broadcast, unaware of the chaos he was causing, uncaring of the fear he was spreading. In exchange for your tribute and your obedience, the Council will permit your species to continue existing. You will be protected from other threats. You will be given a place, however small, in the galactic community. This is more than generous. This is more than fair. His voice hardened. But know this, humans. Refusal is not an option. Resistance is not possible. Every species that has tried to stand against the Council has been destroyed. Their worlds have been burned. Their people have been scattered to the cosmic winds. Their very names have been erased from history. He leaned forward, his mandibles spreading in what passed for a smile among the Vethkai. You have one solar cycle to deliver your answer. One rotation of your planet around its axis. Use this time wisely. Consult with your leaders. Pray to whatever gods you believe in. And when the time comes, submit your tribute and bow before the Council. The transmission ended. Ambassador Dex Rawl turned away from the view screen, confident in the outcome. How long do you think they will take to respond? Commander Vrel asked. A few hours at most, Dex Rawl replied. They always respond quickly once they understand the situation. First will come the pleas for negotiation, then the offers of partial tribute, and finally, the complete surrender. It is always the same. And if they refuse? Dex Rawl laughed, a harsh sound like metal scraping against metal. None have ever refused, Commander. Not once in 12,000 years. These humans may be primitive, but they are not stupid. They will look at our fleet, they will consider their options, and they will do what every other species has done before them. They will kneel. The bridge crew clicked their mandibles in agreement, and the fleet settled into position to wait for the inevitable surrender of humanity. But in a secret bunker far beneath the surface of Earth, men and women in military uniforms were gathering around a table covered with files marked with the highest classification. And the conversation happening in that bunker was very different from what Ambassador Dex Rawl expected. Admiral Chen Wei looked at the assembled leaders of the United Earth Defense Council and spoke 3 words that would change the course of galactic history. It is time. 72 hours passed, and the Galactic Council fleet waited in the cold darkness beyond Neptune. Ambassador Dex Rawl had expected a response within hours. He had expected panic. He had expected desperate pleas for mercy. Instead, he had received nothing but silence. This is unprecedented, the Mondari advisor said, its crystalline body flickering with confusion. No species has ever taken this long to respond. Most surrender within the first 10 hours. Perhaps our transmission did not reach them, Commander Vrel suggested. Impossible, Dex Rawl snapped. We broadcast on every frequency known to exist. We transmitted in 14,000 languages, including their primitive English. They received our message. Then why do they not answer? Dex Rawl had no response to that question. He stood at the view screen, watching the distant blue dot that was Earth. And for the first time in centuries, he felt something he did not recognize. It was not fear, he told himself. The Vethkai did not feel fear. It was merely curiosity. What are they doing down there? He wondered aloud. On Earth, the situation was anything but calm. Emergency sessions had been called in every government building across the planet. The United Nations had convened the largest assembly in its history. Military leaders argued with politicians. Scientists debated with religious figures. Everyone had an opinion about what humanity should do. Some called for immediate surrender. "We cannot fight them," said the president of the European Federation. "You saw their ships. You saw their weapons. We have nothing that can stand against that kind of power." Others called for resistance. "We cannot simply give up," argued the Prime Minister of the Pacific Alliance. "If we surrender, we lose everything that makes us human. Our freedom, our dignity, our future." "What future?" Someone shouted back. "They will destroy us if we refuse. They will enslave us if we accept." The arguments went back and forth, growing more heated with each passing hour. But none of these leaders knew about the bunker beneath the Swiss Alps. None of them knew about the United Earth Defense Council. And none of them knew about the secret that had been kept for 40 years. Deep underground, Admiral Chen Wei stood before a wall of screens showing data that would have seemed like magic to anyone outside that room. Ship designs that defied known physics. Weapons that could tear holes in space itself. Engine systems that could move a vessel from one star to another in the blink of an eye. "Report," the Admiral commanded. General Sarah Morrison stepped forward, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, her eyes sharp despite her 70 years. "All defense platforms are online and ready," she said. "The orbital stations are fully armed. The fleet is standing by in the asteroid belt." "How many ships do we have?" 47 combat-ready vessels. Another 12 are still in final testing, but they can be deployed within hours if necessary. Admiral Chen Wei nodded slowly. 47 ships against 300. The odds were not good, but they were better than anyone outside this room could have imagined. "Tell me about their fleet," he said. Dr. James Okonkwo, the Council's chief scientist, pulled up a holographic display. "Based on our analysis of their transmissions and our previous intelligence, their ships are powerful but predictable. They use plasma-based weapons with a maximum effective range of 50,000 kilometers. Their shields can absorb tremendous damage, but they have a specific frequency weakness that our weapons are designed to exploit." "And their tactics?" "Unchanged for millennia," Dr. Okonkwo replied. "They rely on overwhelming force and intimidation. They have never faced a species that could actually fight back, so they have never needed to adapt." Admiral Chen Wei allowed himself a small smile. "That is their greatest weakness." He turned to face the assembled members of the Defense Council. These were the most powerful people on Earth, but the public did not know their names. Presidents and prime ministers made speeches and signed treaties, but these men and women had been preparing for this moment since before most of them were born. 40 years ago, Admiral Chen Wei began. A ship crashed in the mountains of northern Canada. The governments of the world managed to keep it secret, convincing the public that it was merely a meteor strike. But we knew the truth. He pressed a button, and the image of an alien vessel appeared on the main screen. The ship was damaged beyond repair, but its technology was intact. And the pilot was still alive. Gasps filled the room from the newer members of the council. The pilot was a Drelok, one of the 7 elder races. It had been sent to observe Earth, to determine if humanity was ready for contact. It was supposed to report back to the council, but its ship malfunctioned and crashed. "What happened to the pilot?" someone asked. "It died 3 years after the crash," Admiral Chen Wei replied. "But in those 3 years, it talked. It told us everything about the council, about their methods, about their technology. Some say it was delirious from its injuries. Others believe it wanted us to know the truth. He paused. Either way, we learned. We learned how their weapons worked. We learned how their shields functioned. We learned how their faster-than-light drives operated. And then we did something the Council never expected. His voice hardened. We improved upon everything they had. The screens around the room lit up with images of human ships. They were sleek and black, angular in design, nothing like the bulky vessels of the Council fleet. Our ships are faster than theirs, Admiral Chunwei explained. Our weapons are more powerful. Our shields are more efficient. We have spent 4 decades preparing for this exact moment. General Morrison spoke up. The question now is simple. Do we surrender and become slaves? Or do we fight and show the galaxy that humanity will not bow to anyone? The room fell silent. Everyone understood the stakes. If they fought and lost, humanity would be destroyed. But if they surrendered, humanity would lose everything that mattered. Admiral Chunwei looked around the room at the faces of his colleagues. I will not make this decision alone, he said. This choice belongs to all of humanity. But the public cannot know the full truth. If we reveal our secret now, the Council will learn of it too. So I ask each of you to vote on behalf of the people you represent. One by one, the members of the Defense Council cast their votes. The representative from North America voted to fight. The representative from Europe voted to fight. Asia, Africa, South America, Australia, each one made their choice. When the last vote was counted, the result was unanimous. Admiral Chunwei stood tall, his heart pounding in his chest. Then it is decided, he said. We will send our reply to the Council. One word that will tell them everything they need to know about humanity. He turned to the communications officer. Open a channel to the alien fleet. Maximum power, all frequencies. Make sure they hear us loud and clear. The officer nodded and worked his console. A light blinked on, indicating that the channel was open. Admiral Chunwei took a deep breath and spoke the single word that would change the fate of the galaxy. But that word would not be spoken until the final hour of the final day. Humanity wanted the Council to wait. Humanity wanted them to wonder. And when the answer finally came, it would shake the foundations of everything the Council believed. On the final hour of the final day, a single transmission burst from the planet Earth. It cut through every frequency in existence. It overrode the Council fleet's own communication arrays. It echoed through every ship, every station, every device capable of receiving a signal. And it contained only one word: no. Ambassador Dexrel stared at his view screen, his compound eyes wide with disbelief. He read the translation again, certain there had been some mistake. Surely the humans had not just refused the Council. Surely they understood what their defiance would cost them. Play it again, he commanded. The communication officer obeyed, and the human voice filled the bridge once more. No, that was all. No explanation. No negotiation. No desperate plea for more time. Just that single word, delivered with calm certainty. They are insane, whispered the Mondari advisor, its crystalline body dimming with shock. Or they wish to die. Perhaps they do not understand what they have done, Commander Vrel suggested. They understand, Dexrel growled. They waited until the final hour. They made us wait for 3 days. This was not confusion or miscommunication. This was deliberate defiance. He slammed his armored fist against his command console. No species has ever refused the Council. Not once in 12,000 years. The Githari fought us for 3 centuries, but even they eventually submitted. The Vrashnal tried to hide among the stars, but we hunted them down. Every civilization that has risen in this galaxy has learned to kneel before us. And now these primitives dare to say no? The bridge crew shifted nervously. They had never seen their ambassador so angry. Signal the fleet, Dexrol commanded, his voice cold with fury. Begin the cleansing protocol. We will burn their world to ash. We will hunt down every human in every colony they have established. We will erase their species from existence. Throughout the Council fleet, weapons began to power up. Plasma cannons charged with deadly energy. Missile bays opened, revealing thousands of warheads. Fighter craft launched from carrier ships, forming into attack wings. 300 warships began to move toward the inner solar system, their formation spreading out to encircle the Earth. On the bridge of the Eternal Mandate, Ambassador Dexrol watched the tactical display with satisfaction. They will regret their foolish pride, he said. When we are finished, there will be nothing left of humanity but dust and memory. And even the memory will fade in time. The fleet passed the orbit of Uranus, then Saturn, then Jupiter. With each passing hour, they drew closer to Earth, and with each passing hour, Dexrol grew more confident. The humans had shown no sign of resistance. No ships had launched to meet them. No weapons had fired in their direction. Perhaps the humans had realized their mistake. Perhaps they were hoping the Council would show mercy. They would find no mercy here. Ambassador, the sensor officer called out suddenly. I am detecting anomalous readings from the asteroid belt. What kind of readings? I am not certain. There appears to be some kind of energy signature, but it does not match any known technology. Dexrol waved a dismissive claw. It is nothing. Probably just natural radiation from the asteroids. Continue the advance. The fleet pushed forward, entering the asteroid belt. Around them, millions of rocks drifted silently in the void. And hidden among those rocks, humanity's secret fleet waited. Admiral Chen Wei stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching the Council ships approach. How many? He asked. 312 vessels, General Morrison replied. Approximately 50,000 fighter craft. Total crew complement estimated at 4 million. And our forces? 47 ships. 12,000 crew. Plus the orbital defense platforms around Earth and the weapons satellites we have positioned throughout the system. The odds were overwhelming, but Admiral Chen Wei smiled. They have numbers, he said. We have surprise, and we have something else they cannot understand. What is that, Admiral? We have something to fight for. He turned to his tactical officer. Status of all systems? All ships report ready, Admiral. Weapons charged. Shields at full power. Phase drive standing by. The Council flagship? Identified. The vessel designated Eternal Mandate, currently at the center of their formation. Admiral Chen Wei nodded. That is our primary target. If we can destroy their command ship and kill their ambassador, the rest of the fleet will fall into chaos. He looked at the view screen, watching the Council ships grow closer. They moved with the casual confidence of predators who had never faced a real threat. They had conquered the galaxy through fear and overwhelming force. They had never needed strategy or cunning, and that would be their downfall. All ships, Admiral Chen Wei broadcast to the fleet. This is the moment we have prepared for. For 40 years, humanity has worked in secret. We have built ships that can outrun their fastest vessels. We have created weapons that can pierce their strongest shields. We have trained for this battle every single day. His voice grew stronger. Today, we show the Council that humanity will not be conquered. Today, we show the galaxy that the age of the elder races is ending. Today, we fight for our freedom, our future, and our right to exist. Across the hidden fleet, men and women cheered. They were afraid, yes. They knew they might die in the coming battle. But they were also proud. Proud to be human. Proud to stand against tyranny. Proud to fight for something greater than themselves. Admiral, the sensor officer reported. "The Council fleet is now within optimal engagement range." Admiral Chen Wei took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would decide the fate of humanity. "All ships," he commanded. "Activate phase drives. Attack pattern Alpha. Target the flagship." And with those words, 47 human vessels emerged from hidden positions throughout the asteroid belt. They appeared as if from nowhere, their black hulls suddenly visible against the stars. They moved with impossible speed, their phase drives carrying them across space in the blink of an eye. And they opened fire with weapons that the Council had never seen before. The first shot struck the Eternal Mandate shields. It passed through them as if they did not exist. It hit the hull of the mighty warship and carved a hole 30 meters wide. Ambassador Dexrol staggered as his ship shook from the impact. Alarms screamed. Crew members shouted in panic. "What is happening?" he demanded. "We are under attack." Commander Vrel shouted back. "Unknown vessels. They came from nowhere. Our shields, they did nothing. Their weapons went straight through." Dexrol stared at the view screen in horror. Human ships darted through his fleet like predators among prey. Everywhere they went, Council vessels exploded. One battlecruiser vanished in a flash of light. Then another. Then 3 more. "How is this possible?" he whispered. No one had an answer. The humans were not supposed to have ships. They were not supposed to have weapons. They were supposed to be primitive, helpless, easy to conquer. But instead, they were tearing the mightiest fleet in the galaxy to pieces. And Ambassador Dexrol finally understood. He had made a terrible mistake. They all had. The Battle of the Sol System lasted exactly 17 minutes. In those 17 minutes, the greatest fleet ever assembled by the Galactic Council was utterly destroyed. 300 warships reduced to burning wreckage. 50,000 fighters scattered like leaves in a storm. 4 million crew members dead, captured, or fleeing in escape pods. And the flagship Eternal Mandate drifted powerless in space. Its engines destroyed, its weapons silenced, its mighty hull torn open by human weapons. On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral Chen Wei watched the final moments of the battle with grim satisfaction. "Status report," he commanded. "All enemy combat vessels have been neutralized," General Morrison replied. "We have captured 12 transport ships and 300 escape pods. Enemy survivors are requesting rescue." "And our losses?" Morrison paused for a moment. 3 ships destroyed. 7 damaged, but still operational. 2,416 casualties, including 712 confirmed dead. Admiral Chen Wei closed his eyes. Every death was a tragedy. Every fallen soldier was someone's child, someone's parent, someone's friend. But they had won. Against impossible odds, humanity had won. "Begin rescue operations," he ordered. "I want every survivor picked up, enemy and ally alike. And open a channel to the Eternal Mandate. I want to speak with their ambassador." The communication officer worked quickly, and a moment later, the battered bridge of the Council flagship appeared on the view screen. Ambassador Dexrol stood among the wreckage of his command center. His armor was cracked. His compound eyes were dim with shock. Around him, the bodies of his crew lay scattered across the floor. "Ambassador," Admiral Chen Wei said calmly, "I am Admiral Chen Wei of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Your fleet has been defeated. Your ship is disabled. You are in no position to resist." Dexrol stared at the human on his screen. He had expected to see primitive apes barely capable of space travel. Instead, he saw a warrior who had just accomplished the impossible. "How?" Dexrol whispered. "How did you do this? Your species was not supposed to have this technology. You were not supposed to be capable of fighting us. Admiral Chen Wei allowed himself a small smile. 40 years ago, Ambassador, one of your scout ships crashed on our planet. A Drelok vessel sent to observe us. Perhaps you remember the mission? X-Riot's eyes widened. The Drelok observation probe. It was reported lost. We assumed it was destroyed by an asteroid impact. It crashed in our northern mountains, Admiral Chen Wei continued. And we found it. We found the ship, and we found the pilot. The pilot lived for 3 years, and in those 3 years, it told us everything. He leaned forward, his voice hardening. It told us about the Council. It told us about your tribute demands. It told us what you do to species that refuse to submit. And it told us about your technology. Impossible, Dexrol breathed. The Drelok are loyal to the Council. They would never betray us. Perhaps it was delirious from its injuries. Perhaps it was tired of watching the Council crush young civilizations. Or perhaps it simply wanted someone to know the truth. Whatever the reason, it talked, and we listened. Admiral Chen Wei stood tall. We learned how your weapons worked, and we built better ones. We learned how your shields functioned, and we found their weaknesses. We learned how your phase drives operated, and we improved them beyond anything you could imagine. You have spent 12,000 years stagnating, Ambassador. You conquered the galaxy, and then you stopped advancing. Why bother improving when no one could challenge you? Why innovate when every species you met bowed before your power? His voice echoed across the void between their ships. But humanity did not bow. We hid, we planned, we built, and we waited for you to come to us. Dexrol sank into his damaged command chair. Everything he believed had been wrong. The Council was supposed to be invincible. The elder races were supposed to be the masters of all creation. And these humans, these primitive apes from an unremarkable planet, had proven all of it to be lies. What will you do now? Dexrol asked. Will you destroy us? Will you conquer our worlds as we conquered others? Admiral Chen Wei shook his head. No, Ambassador. That is not the human way. He gestured, and a woman in a military uniform stepped into view beside him. This is Commander Elena Rodriguez, he said. She will be coordinating the rescue and relief efforts. Your wounded will be treated. Your prisoners will be housed in humane conditions. And when the time is right, they will be returned to Council space. Dexrol could not believe what he was hearing. You would show us mercy? After we came to enslave your people? Mercy is not weakness, Ambassador. It is strength. The strength to choose a different path. The strength to be better than those who would harm us. He paused, but do not mistake our mercy for surrender. Humanity has a message for the Galactic Council, and you are going to deliver it. Admiral Chen Wei stepped closer to the view screen. Tell your council that humanity will not pay tribute. Tell them that humanity will not bow. Tell them that the age of conquest is over. And tell them this: we are not the only species that dreams of freedom. In all the worlds you have conquered, in all the civilizations you have crushed, there are billions who want what we have won today. And we will find them. We will help them. We will give them the same chance we had. Commander Rodriguez stepped forward. The Council ruled through fear for 12,000 years, she said. But fear is a fragile thing. Today, humanity proved that the Council can be beaten. And when word of this battle spreads across the galaxy, that fear will begin to crumble. She smiled, and there was steel in her eyes. Every slave will wonder if they could be next to break their chains. Every conquered world will dream of rebellion. Every species that submitted to avoid destruction will ask themselves, what if we had fought? You came here to end humanity, Ambassador. Instead, you have given birth to something far more dangerous. Oh, Dexrol sat in silence, the weight of his defeat crushing him. He had served the Council for 500 years. He had believed in its power, its righteousness, its eternal dominion. And now a species he had dismissed as primitive had shattered everything he held true. "The Council will not accept this," he said at last. "They will send more fleets. They will bring weapons capable of destroying your entire star system." Admiral Chen Wei nodded. "Perhaps they will, but we will be ready. And each time they come, they will find us stronger than before. Each time they try to crush us, they will only prove that they cannot." He turned away from the screen. "Take your survivors, Ambassador. Return to Council space. Tell them what happened here today. And tell them that humanity is waiting." The transmission ended. Dexrol sat alone on the bridge of his ruined flagship. Around him, the debris of the once mighty Council fleet drifted through the void. And beyond it all, the blue planet Earth hung in space like a jewel. A world that should have been easy to conquer. A world that had instead conquered him. Dexrol had come to teach humanity its place in the galaxy. Instead, humanity had taught him something he would never forget. Some prey fights back, and sometimes the prey wins. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the first in 4,000 years. The 7 elder races gathered in their ancient chamber on Nexus Prime, a world that had served as the capital of galactic civilization since before humanity had learned to use fire. The chamber was vast and cold, its walls carved from living crystal that had been grown over millennia. 7 thrones of different designs sat in a circle, each one crafted for the unique biology of its occupant. And on those thrones, the rulers of the galaxy sat in terrified silence. The Vethkai High Matriarch, a creature of immense size and age, clicked her mandibles nervously. She had ruled her species for 800 years, and all that time, she had never experienced fear. Now she could think of nothing else. "Show us," she commanded. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the wreckage of the tribute fleet, thousands of destroyed ships scattered across the Sol system. It showed human vessels patrolling their space, sleek and deadly, and utterly unlike anything the Council had ever seen. It showed Ambassador Dexrol, humiliated and defeated, delivering his report from a medical bay where he was recovering from his injuries. 300 ships, the Mondari representative said, its crystalline voice trembling. "Done in 17 minutes. How is this possible?" "The humans had technology we did not expect," Dexrol explained from the display. "They have been preparing for our arrival for 40 years. They found one of our crash scouts and used it to learn our secrets. Then they improved upon them." "Improved?" The Drelok delegate rose from its water-filled throne in shock. "That is impossible. Our technology is perfected. It cannot be improved." "I saw it with my own eyes," Dexrol replied. "Their weapons passed through our shields as if they did not exist. Their ships moved through space faster than anything we have ever built. They were superior to us in every way." The chamber fell into chaos. The elder races shouted at each other, blaming each other, demanding explanations, calling for revenge. But beneath all the anger, there was fear. Deep, primal, overwhelming fear. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Galactic Council had been challenged. And for the first time in 12,000 years, the Galactic Council had lost. "We must destroy them," the Vethkai High Matriarch declared. "We will gather every ship in the galaxy. We will bring weapons capable of shattering worlds. We will erase humanity from existence." "And what if we fail again?" the Mondari representative asked quietly. The chamber went silent. No one wanted to consider that possibility, but it hung in the air like poison. "The humans said something in their final transmission," Dexrol continued. "They said they would not come for us. They said they would not conquer us. They said they would simply exist. They said they would offer a choice to the species we have conquered. They said they would build an alliance based on freedom instead of fear. The Drelok delegate sank back into its throne. If they do that, it said slowly, our empire will crumble from within. Every species we have subjugated dreams of freedom. If the humans offer them hope, they will rise against us. Then we crush the rebellions, the Vethkai matriarch snarled. We burn every world that defies us. We show the galaxy what happens to those who challenge council rule. We cannot fight on 1,000 fronts at once, another delegate argued. Our resources are not limitless. If the subject species unite against us, we will be overwhelmed. The argument continued, growing more desperate with each passing moment. But none of them noticed the new transmission coming in. Not until the chamber's communication system activated on its own. A human face appeared on the central display. Admiral Chan Wei looked at the assembled rulers of the galaxy, and his expression was calm and confident. Members of the Galactic Council, he said. I am Admiral Chen Wei of the United Earth Defense Fleet. I apologize for interrupting your meeting, but I have a message to deliver. The Vethkai matriarch rose from her throne in fury. How did you access our systems? This chamber is protected by the most advanced security in the galaxy. Your most advanced security is about 40 years out of date, Admiral Chen Wei replied with a slight smile. But that is not why I am here. He stepped back, allowing the council to see more of the room behind him. It was a command center, filled with humans working at various stations. But there were also screens showing images from across the galaxy. Images of council worlds. Images of military installations. Images of the very chamber where the council now sat. We have been watching you for some time, Admiral Chung Wei explained. We know where your fleets are stationed. We know where your weapons are stored. We know the location of every important installation in council space. If we wanted to, we could strike at the heart of your civilization before you even knew we were coming. Fear spread across the faces of the council members. They had thought they were safe on Nexus Prime. They had thought humanity was far away, contained in their tiny corner of the galaxy. But the humans had already infiltrated their most secure systems. But we are not going to do that, Admiral Chun Wei continued. As I told Ambassador Dextro, humanity is not interested in conquest. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your resources. We do not even want revenge for the fleet you sent to enslave us. We want something much simpler. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. We want freedom. Not just for ourselves, but for every species in this galaxy. We want an end to tribute. We want an end to slavery. We want an end to 12,000 years of tyranny. The Mondari representative spoke up, its voice uncertain. What exactly are you proposing? A new order, Admiral Chun Wei replied. The Galactic Council can continue to exist if it wishes. Any species that wants to remain part of your system may do so freely. But any species that wants to leave must be allowed to leave without punishment. We will establish a separate alliance. The Coalition of Free Worlds, we call it. Any species that joins us will be protected from Council retaliation. Any species that seeks freedom will find a home among us. You cannot simply remake the galaxy to suit your preferences, the Vethkai matriarch protested. We have ruled for 12,000 years. We have brought order to the chaos of space. You have brought fear, Admiral Chen Wei corrected. You have brought oppression. You have crushed every species that might have grown into something wonderful. His voice softened. The galaxy does not need masters, matriarch. It needs partners. It needs cooperation, not coercion. It needs the chance to grow and change and become something greater. Humanity is offering that chance. Not through war, but through choice. He stood tall, his uniform crisp, his bearing proud. We are not asking for your permission. We are simply telling you what is going to happen. The coalition of free worlds will exist. The subject species will be given a choice, and nothing you do can stop that. But we would prefer peace to war. We would prefer cooperation to conflict. So here is our offer. Accept the new order, and the Council will continue to exist. Refuse, and we will defend any species that seeks freedom, no matter the cost. The transmission ended. The council chamber fell silent. The 7 elder races looked at each other, and for the first time in their long history, they did not know what to do. They could not destroy humanity. They could not ignore humanity. And they could not stop the changes that were already spreading across the galaxy. Word of the human victory had reached 1,000 worlds. Slave species were whispering to each other in the darkness. Conquered civilizations were beginning to dream of rebellion. The fear that had held the galaxy together for 12,000 years was starting to crack. And in its place, something new was growing. Something the Council had never faced before. Something more powerful than any weapon, more dangerous than any fleet. Hope. The hope that the universe could be different. The hope that freedom was possible. The hope that one small species from one small planet had proven to every being in the galaxy. Humanity had said no, and nothing would ever be the same again.